Oh, excuse me, that's the end of my cough. I was just explaining to Kate, guys, that I woke up on Saturday. I may as well launch into this if that's all right, Kate. With a cold, and I was thinking, oh, okay, yeah, this is it. I've got coronavirus, and this is it. And so, and interesting though, two things happened for me. One was, okay, no one's immune. This is the reality of it. And although I haven't been exposed to anybody who's been overseas or know of anybody who has it, you never know who you've come into contact with in the community prior to lockdown, because it takes 14 days to sometimes show the signs. Those sorts of thoughts came through my head, and I thought, I'm not immune. Everyone's human, and it can just happen to anybody, no matter how careful you are. And the other thought that came into my head was like, you know what, if this is it, if my time is up and I'm one of those extreme cases that it's over, I'm okay with how I've lived my life and with what has with what's transpired for me in my life, and I'm pretty happy with where I'm at and my contribution. So it was an interesting thing to witness within myself, because I thought I would fall to fear and like, what about my children and what about what I'm leaving behind? But I realized after I had my more mindful moment that actually probably that's a bit more fear-based, and they will be sad. But the reality is we all die at some point, and we could walk out onto the road and be hit by a bus, or probably not at the moment because there's not as many buses, but
there's no one
could, like, and there's no one in them. But I mean, and it may be a little bit morbid but it's the reality of it, is that we all do die at some point, and I think we just need to be a bit more real with how we're talking about what's happening out there with our children in particular, and with each other as well. So we don't need to see it as a morbid thing. It is a fact, and it is a thing that happens. And so, and then I've got, I got better within a couple of days. So, but I did say to Race, like if I die, and I said to my girls as well, I said, if I die, Mummy would love you to just celebrate my life at my funeral. And they're just like, Mum, but you're not going to die, eh? I'm like, well, one day I will. But so when I have my funeral, I'd like you to celebrate me and wear bright colours, and I'll have a wooden coffin, and you can paint it and draw all over it and just have fun with it. Any kids that are there can just go to town, and I want you guys to sing, and you can dance and celebrate it, because life is worth celebrating. So yeah, but that's an interesting way to start our chat, isn't it, Kate?
Well, we were just talking before we got on. We were talking about death, and I've been listening to Lee Harris, and he does an energy reading for the month, and he's talking about how there's levels to this fear that we have, and one of quite high one is it's getting us closer to death. So how do we? Because I'm thinking about my kids. My youngest one, my grandfather passed away this year, and he still talks about it. He still brings it up. He'll be like, I miss Grandpa. And that they're so raw and they're so honest. Like, how do we safely kind of cushion their way through that, or do we cushion it?
And I'm so glad you asked that question, because no, we don't. Because what's happening is actually we're feeling upset by what's happening for them, but we're not here to take away their pain. We're here to walk beside them while they're having their pain, and we're here to support them and coach them through it. But we cannot take those feelings for them and turn them into something else. They need to feel what they're feeling. what we do need to do though is see what is it about this that is kind of triggering us, or what is it that we're feeling about this conversation, that what's this bringing up for us, and really being able to sit in our own feelings around it and be comfortable, which is hard to do, with what we're feeling about what they're talking about. And so we let them, we pause, we hear them, we let them say what they're going to say. And some of what they say is not even logical, but that's okay, because it's what they are experiencing or what they're thinking or they see it. So they talk about what it is for them, and we hear them. And then at the end of that, if anything needs kind of tweaking, like maybe something is completely off the wall, not quite right there, then we gently guide them towards the truth of it. But we don't need to correct them about it. We just need to, give them the facts around it, or, talk them through it. It's a hard process though, because we're still maybe going through our own grieving within that.
Yeah. So we're
not here to fix it for them. We're not here to take their feelings. We're here to help. We're like the vessel to hold them safely while they feel the feels. Yeah. Yeah. But that's I've got an exercise that I'd love to do with you maybe at the end, but it's kind of in line with this. So I love that we're talking about this right now.
Yeah, it's giving me little goosebumps.
Yay.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's a scary
thing.
And even like thinking about how we're all in bubbles at the moment. We're all in these protective little bubbles, protecting our kids and sheltering them from the big bad world.
Yep. And it's a great opportunity to teach them some of those really little life skills that we probably were a little bit too busy to be doing daily with them. And some of the reality checks for ourselves around how busy was I and what was I doing that maybe I don't need to have been doing so much. Maybe what's more important is some of these other things that we're starting to be able to do together. We don't want to hide them from everything in the world, but we do want to keep it real. Like, we don't need to fearmonger them, but we do need to let them know some of the facts of what's around. I've always spoken, so there's a couple of things I've always spoken to really quite upfront and with my kids about. One is death, actually. Like, everyone dies and it will be sad and you'll have big feelings. And the other one is sex and puberty, because that is also a part of life and we all hopefully get to experience it. Those two things I've been really upfront, and I've got the kids to talk about their bodies and what's happening with at the stages. And we have one in puberty. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me discussing that. And then our middle daughter is getting to prepubescent time as well now. And so I've got a couple of books that we've always shown, but I think the more we are able to talk about these things without making a big fuss about them, it's just more factual. It's just like, we flow with these things about it. We don't make it yucky or embarrassing or like, oh, penis. We are like, this is a part of my body and this is, my parts. We call them what they are, and that way there's safety in that as well, for them.
Man, we are covering a lot of bases right now, Kylie.
I've gone off on tangents.
No, but sex talk with you, is that something that I'm really interested in as well, about how we really shelter kids. But anyway, getting back to
let's get back to topic.
Facts, and even like talking about sex and talking about death and the facts. Do you think that's your son who's taught you that, like the neurodiversity?
Oh,
like
totally.
Know how it is.
100%. And while we're on that topic, I just really want to say that I salute all parents of neurodiverse kids at the moment, because it is not easy to be 24/7 in your home or surrounding with everyone there, because sometimes, like for us, for example, my son and I are home a lot, but we don't have my husband and the two girls there as well. And I particularly want to do a shout out for single mums with neurodiverse kids at the moment, because Reese and I tag team it with the kids, you know, we share the load. But single mums, you know, they're really needing to move into a lot of mindfulness at the moment, and a lot of heading out and hugging a tree. And I know that sounds funny when I say hug a tree, but there's something about being able to be in nature, just even for a couple of moments, and sitting by a tree or by some sort of nature item, and just being able to release some of your energy and receive some of that energy, because it really grounds you. Yeah, and I really want to just say wow to you parents, because it's really not easy, and and the change in routine for some neurodiverse kids is incredibly challenging. And so this first week of moving into a new routine has probably had some moments for some. Some neurodiverse kids don't like routine, like our son is one of them. He just wants to flow with the day, which can also have its challenges, because if we have something we need to get to, there's a lot of prep work that goes into that. But also, you know, having additional humans at home when you have a child that might not love other humans around them all the time, there's a lot going on to manage that. And I think this probably leads in really nicely to a book I've been reading, which is called Resilience. So I'm rereading it. I read it when it first came out in 2018, but I'm rereading it now. Excuse me, I've got the end of my little cough happening. Yeah, and so do you want me to head in there, or shall we talk a little bit more about neurodiversity while we're
I think it would be good to grit in there and get a bit like what are they facing, how can we support them, how are they coping? Yeah.
And so now more than ever, we're needing flexibility for them. We as the adults are needing to be more flexible. They, depending on their type, will either need more structure within what they're doing, or as well more flexibility. And you will know your child. No one knows your child like you, and you honestly know your child. Some of the professionals don't even know what to be doing with some of our kids, and that's okay, because we're all on a bit of a learning journey. But what we do need to do more than ever is truly hear them. So if they won't necessarily speak what they're thinking or feeling, because they don't know always, but they will certainly show you, and it might be in behaviours, or it might be in how they speak to you all of a sudden. You'll know their cues and their signs of that they're not okay with a situation. And so we pause, we check in what's happening for us as things start to escalate, and we are able to then be there for them while they're doing their thing. But if they love learning and they're wanting structure within their learning, then that does need to be factored into a part of their day so that they're getting what they need, and are stimulated in that area. And if that means you need to shift a meeting, it means you need to shift a meeting, because we know, living with neurodiverse, that if we're not able to meet the need that they have, all hell breaks loose, and it can just be a bit of a nightmare. So when I'm talking about flexibility, I'm meaning not only you and your partner, siblings as well, and they need to be schooled on, this child doesn't always understand, and so you need to make the right choice. And so another thing that I wanted to say is, I really, hand on heart, admire siblings of neurodiverse. I think a lot of them are underappreciated, and they can be, and they need to be. And I just think they're incredible. So you can be honest and talking to them around what needs to be happening or what you're needing from them. And, and they can help support the process along the way. They also hopefully by now know it's not personal, and hopefully it's not personal, because it's hard not to think you're a dickhead when you're being told you are. So, there's that side of it as well. Yeah.
I feel like we could have a whole conversation about supporting siblings. Like, that would be
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people out there, you're speaking people's truth, and there'll be people struggling, and how I just want to make it very black and white, how if they need somebody to talk to, you're available, you're there.
Oh yeah.
How could they reach out to you?
Yeah, perfect. So I either via my Facebook page, Heart Centered Coach, or Instagram, same name, and my website is also the same, so www.heartcenteredcoach.com. I'm offering free calls for at least 15 minutes at the moment, so you can, if you're just having a particular issue and you just don't understand, I'm just offering really quick tips to see how I can best serve, for really quick information that you may be needing around a particular thing, right up through to a few online programs I offer, or my golden package, which is 10 sessions of working together, and I really get deep into the crux of what's happening within your family dynamics and help offer tips and tools each week to help to really shift things around and see some progress in how the family is working together. And for me, it's really honouring each person for where they are, because our neurodiverse kids are the most amazing humans. They are incredible, and we are so blessed to have them, even though we feel some days like, what the fuck? But we do really admire the way their brains work, how they see things so differently, the out-of-the-box thinking, and they're incredible. Like, Richard Branson, like Einstein, we've got the most incredible gold out there because of these amazing neurodiverse kiddos. So if we're able to know how to best support them and nurture and embrace and see them as a gift rather than the other part of it, then that's where the gold happens. Yeah.
Did you want to talk briefly about this book that you've been reading?
Oh, yeah, I do actually. So her name is Linda Graham. So she's a marriage and family therapist in the States, and she's written this book called Resilience. So I'll just do a really quick, if it's okay, I'll just do a really quick screen share so you can see what that looks like. Oh, I can't screen share, can I? Oh, yes, I can. There it is.
Oh.
So that... What? I only use Zoom every day. So this is Resilience, the book. Can you see that on your screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
So powerful practices for bouncing back. So that's what I'm talking about, just so you all know. And And so she really, it's covered from minor disappointments right through to major trauma for people. And I thought it's quite timely to talk about this because across the world, we are having minor disappointments right through to some major trauma that's happening with what's happening in the world. The key message that she talks about is that flexibility is the key to resilience. And so it's really great that we were able to talk about flexibility already as well, because I think a lot of us are becoming quite resilient at the moment because we are recognizing that we need to be a bit flexible around the things that we're doing anyway. So at the moment as well, I think we're really needing to move into not only our child's perspective, but we need to see how we are seeing things and then perhaps shift that perspective to more of a response rather than a reaction. And I talk about this a lot, and it's hard to know how to do this, but we do all have a lot of conditioned patterns within ourselves that we don't even recognize are there. So one of her gifts is that she's very good at being able to shift people's patterns. But one thing, a couple of things I'd really like to talk about are if we can shift the thinking of what if that we're having at the moment to even if, it makes a huge difference to how we're talking about stuff. So, you know, we could use my example from the beginning. What if I've got coronavirus and I die, compared to even if I have coronavirus, we've got this. This is what we can put in place. This is what can happen. You know, so it's
much more empowered.
Quite a difference in how I'm able to talk about them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I also would love people to start to shift into, these are the things that I am learning to appreciate because of this situation. Because we can go, oh, you know, I'm stuck here, or I'm not able to do this. But if we can go, I really do appreciate the fact that I have more time to tick off my to-do list, whatever it is that you are appreciating right now, because you're forced to. Yeah.
And that's some of modeling it for your kids, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
We do it around the dinner table at night. So, you know, we have a round of appreciation. We just keep going round and round and round until the kids are like, I don't want to do it anymore, Mum. And then we just keep going because it makes you feel good.
Does make you feel good, eh? But also you do kind of need to be in the right mindset, right, to be able to even see what you're appreciating in something. Because if you're still feeling a bit like overwhelmed from the day, or a bit like resentful towards your partner because you're feeling like the load's not being shared, then you need to be able to shift that whole perspective before you can even see the gratitude.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just saying it through like clenched teeth. I appreciate.
Yeah, and that can be a fun exercise. Yeah. So
I feel like we've covered so many. That's something that's very free flowing. And is there anything else on top that you want to share to parents?
Yeah, I just wondered if we could do a really quick exercise to leave everyone with that they can be doing even multiple times within the day. It's one that really brings your oxytocin in, so that's your relaxation hormone, and that when oxytocin is in play, then our cortisone, our stress hormone, it floods back out of the body. So it's a really nice quick exercise that you can do multiple times in a day to just really bring you back to feeling a bit more human again.
Sounds
Are
great.
you okay with that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. No worries. So I'd just like to invite you to close down your eyes and focus in on the breath. So I invite you to place a hand on your heart and really breathe into that heart space. And as you breathe in, you are having breaths of ease, safety, and love. And as you continue to breathe, try to bring to mind a moment in time where you felt safe, loved, and nourished by someone. Maybe it was a partner or a friend, a child, or your favorite pet. So hold that feeling for a moment within your body. You may feel your body begin to calm and slow down. So just hold on to that feeling for a couple more breaths. And then when you are ready, just becoming aware of the space of the room that you are in. And then gently fluttering open the eyes again. So you can do this exercise in less than a minute, multiple times within a day, and it can just help quite quickly bring you sort of back in alignment.
Yeah, I feel my whole shoulders just drop.
Yay.
Yeah, you're carrying these loads, right?
And we all are.
Yeah.
Sure.
Much love to everyone out there. Thanks so much.
Yeah.